Okay, so I just want to go over a few features on Lichess. I've been getting a lot of questions um, from a bunch of different people about some of the some of the newer features in the studies. So if I go after I log in, click on Learn, down to Study. Um, let's start by just creating a new study. So this green plus button will create a new study, and I can call it whatever I want. So let's just call this example study. I'm going to make my study private because I don't want it to show up for everyone. I just want to share it with certain people. And these other options I always leave for everyone, computer analysis and cloning. It might be nice to turn off computer analysis if you're going to share it with your students, but I usually leave it on. So this next window after you create it will be your first chapter. A study can have many different chapters. I have one study that has more than 60 chapters. As far as I know, there's no limit on how many chapters a study can have. So these functions here, init, edit, URL, FEN, and PGN are pretty self-explanatory. Let's start with init. So start from the initial position. You can change the orientation of the board or do some crazy variant like chess 960 if you want, but let's just leave it with orientation white and variant standard. So if I call it, let's say, Scholars Mate, create chapter, now I can create a really simple Scholars Mate just by moving the pieces. So let's say e4, e5, bishop c4, knight c6, queen h5, let's say h6 and qx f7 checkmate. So now if I want to comment this, let's say after h6, I can click on the annotate with symbols button and give it a, I guess it would deserve a double question mark. I might even add something after queen h5 if I wanted to, like a comment. If I click on the comment bubble, something like trying for Scholars Mate. X out of that, and now we'll see that appear in the move list. Maybe in the game they didn't actually play h6. Maybe they played g6. And after queen f3, they played knight f6. But here I'm still stuck in this sideline. If I want to promote this sideline, I can click Control. I'm holding down Control, and then I get the option to promote that variation to the main line. So now that will be the main line, and the line where Scholars Mate actually occurred will be this sideline, like what if h6, double question mark. Or maybe this is just such an absurd move, it shouldn't be in there at all, and I want to delete it. In that case, again, just Control and click, and I get the option of deleting it, commenting it, annotating it, etc. So let's just go ahead and delete that since it's a totally absurd move. So this is pretty much self-explanatory. One of the things I like about Lichess is there's more than one way to do anything. There's a lot of different ways to sort of do the same thing with the features on the site, and it's pretty intuitive, pretty self-explanatory. Also, it's open source, which means a lot of different developers are always adding new features to it, and this is one that I just noticed earlier this week. If I want to practice a certain position against a computer, you can click on this bullseye. It lets you do that, which is pretty awesome. So let's look at another feature. Let's say instead of starting from the initial position, let's say I want to start with an edited position with pieces wherever I want them to be. So let's do something, I don't know, relatively simple here. Let's put a black king in a corner. Let's give white a bishop and a knight. And say white to move. So here, it's a mate in 4, which is nice. If I turn that off, I can practice against the computer if I want. So here, obviously, it's go ahead and trap the king, step the king around. All I have to do is bring the knight to this square. What's the best way to get it there? I don't know. I'm sure this is not the best way, but check and mate. Awesome. So yeah, I'm sure there was a faster mate there, but okay. If I now have this second chapter. Oh, but I forgot to give it a title, so let's click on this little gear here and call it Mate with Bishop and Knight. And I'll save that chapter. And you know, a lot of the same features apply here in terms of the ones that we saw in the previous feature. If I want to add some comments like, hey, I missed a mate. There was a much earlier one. I think mate in 4 is what the computer said. I could go back. Let's see. And add it in there. Oh, of course, here there was just a mate in 1. Yeah. Right, so if I wanted to comment that, I could have added that in there. There was a faster, obvious mate that I missed. These symbols at the bottom are also useful. The share and export is, if I click on that, I'll get a PGN to download with the comments and everything, either of the single chapter or of the entire study, whichever I want. This clone button is really useful, for instance, for the middle school curriculum. When there's another study that someone has shared with you or made you a contributor on, you can click on this clone button, and then you'll get your own copy of the study that you can edit without changing the source of the study that everyone else is on. And this pause and play button is for when multiple people are viewing the same study. It will sync up their view, which anyone who's been on a video conference with other teachers reviewing material has probably already seen. Let's see, other than that, let's go back and make another chapter. Let's see, let's use the FEN feature. So if there's a position that I really want to study, I can just copy and paste an FEN into here where it says initial FEN. So let's go create an FEN real quick. I could also create an FEN on Lichess, of course, but this is something I use from time to time. So let's say I'm going to create an FEN by setting up a position. So let's clear the board. I don't know, just put some pieces on here. Let's say it's white to move, and right here is my FEN of what I've created, so I can just copy that, paste it in here, and when let's give it a name, let's call it rook and pawn game. Here's my FEN, and if I want to edit it, follow the computer moves, make my own moves, comments, all of the previous things that we saw in the other chapters would also apply here. So let's just, for curiosity, look at the PGN. So a lot of you probably have a library of PGNs from other databases or websites, and you can really grab them from anywhere. It's just a text document. You could even write it in Word if you wanted. So let's just grab a random PGN. Let's look at the game of the day from chessgames.com. Let's go ahead and give it a name. And there's the PGN. So you can click through, add some notes, you know, all of these features. Pretty self-explanatory. So those are Lichess studies. I think one other thing that might be useful to see the difference of is Right now I'm under chapters here where it says chapters. If I click on member, you'll see there's only one member, that's me. If I want to add someone, I click add, and let's add Cosmo Root. So now he's on this study. I can even click this, which will make him a contributor. That'll give him the ability to alter the study. And yeah, so now Cosmo Root can log in and have access to this sample study. That's pretty much it. If you have any questions, obviously don't hesitate to shoot me an email.